As we ended last week's Parashat, the brothers were in dire difficulty. They'd been caught. The cup of the monarch, or the man who ran the monarchy, was in the bag of Binyamin. And as they were taken back to town, they realized that their situation really was difficult. And we start this week, and Yehuda steps forward, and he gives an impassioned speech. Now, it's fascinating what he says and what he doesn't say. He doesn't deal with the charges. He doesn't deal with what they're accused of. He doesn't bother to try to make excuses. Rather, he tells a whole completely different narrative. What his narrative consists of is the plight that their father is in. It's very personal, and it's very painful. And perhaps far more importantly, it causes Yosef to break. It causes Yosef to break down and to admit who he is. We need to understand what it was that was going on in Yosef's head and what it was that causes him to stop, to give up. Apparently, Yosef is motivated, and we can say this in a lot of different ways. Yosef wants the dreams to come true. Yosef believes that his father as well is going to need to come and bow down to him. Yosef may have believed, and this was suggested by Rabbi Soloveitchik, that when he demanded that Binyamin come, Yosef thought that Yaakov would never let Binyamin come on his own, and Yaakov would come together with Binyamin, and the two of them would bow down, and that would complete the dream. All brothers and their father would have bowed down. And that sounds really harsh. This whole thing is about Yosef's dreams coming true. So perhaps, as the Ramban points out, these dreams he saw as being like prophecy, and they had to come true. But now he stops. Now he gives in. Now the reality of being told what his father's going through causes him to give up. But what was he thinking before? You know, one of the things about the way that Yosef was brought up was he was brought up without the benefit of seeing his father honor his father. In fact, Yaakov spends many, many years away from his father. But those formative years of growing up, Yosef never saw his father treat his father Yitzchak because they were away. It's only much later that they come back. And it could be the benefit of seeing how one's parents treat their parents is this kind of a lesson which goes so deep within our persona that we don't necessarily realize that it's there, or we don't necessarily realize when it's lacking. It was almost normal that Yosef's goals take precedence over everything else, including the honor of his father, because maybe he had never seen anything else. Now, when it finally seeps deep inside his consciousness what it is that's taking place to his father, he stops. And maybe that's the meaning of those first words that come out. I'm Yosef. Is my father still alive? I mean, that should have been the question all along. And he's asked it before. But now it seems like he's feeling it. Yosef now asks about his father. And everything stops. The dreams that he has. This idea that everyone needs to bow down. It stops. And even if it's prophecy, it's interesting, but it stops. And at this point, Yosef shifts focus and says, I need to take care of my father. The dreams and how they'll come true and if they'll come true, that's not his problem at this point. That's God's problem. If God wants these prophecies to take place and God has something invested in the way that things play out, well, God will have to come up with another plan and make sure that things happen the way they're supposed to happen. But the book, in a sense, is a surprise ending. Instead of Yosef's dreams coming true and Yosef showing kingship and leadership and being the one, somebody else had stepped forward. And it's interesting what the real core of that kingdom is, the kingdom of Yehuda. It was feeling the pain of his father. Once he felt that, he then deserves to be the one who's going to inherit from his father the role of leadership.